Hello and welcome back to the Obojima Podcast. My name is Jeremiah, and I am joined with Adam and Ari, and we are the writers of Obojima. And you are joining us for our weekly writers meeting where we sit down and we talk D&D, we talk Obojima, we talk other things. And today is our fun episode on the magic of Obojima, the magic system, the I don't know what you'd call this.
Where does magic come from?
Where does magic come from? Yeah. Somebody summon Brandon Sanderson. We'll say whatever he would say. No, we're talking about how magic functions in Obojima. So, in many fantasy systems, there's always some peculiar, interesting magic system that's like, it comes from the bones, or you got to eat, moon dust, or it's innate, or you're a wizard, Harry, or whatever it is, right? Like there's always like a thing. And so in ours, we want to talk about what are the core tropes of Obojima magic? How do they fit? Can we categorize them? How do they fit? Kind of talk about how some of the system works. And some of it we'll be kind of creating right now as we kind of flesh it out. And some of it we've already thought about and put a lot of energy into kind of categorization. And that's what this episode is about. That said, before we start, you should check out our upcoming Kickstarter. Use the link in the description below to check out our upcoming Kickstarter for Obojima Tales from Yatamon, an upcoming book and project, as well as a board game. The first ever Obojima board game is on there as well. It's cool stuff. I won't get into it, but look at the link below if you haven't, and let's jump into it. Obojima has a bunch of different magics, right? We've kind of, magic seemingly works in a bunch of different ways in Obojima. And sometimes it's not very explainable. Sometimes it's connected to spirits. Sometimes it's connected to, what we're calling like the will of Obojima. Let's talk about what that looks like and maybe the categories of magic. And when I say categories, I mean, where is the magic derived from? In D&D, as you've heard us talk about, or at least me talk about, there's the weave. The weave is magic which flows from the goddess Mystra, and it kind of is represented by little strings which connect everything in the universe, and Mystra plucks on those strings to allow magic. And when you are casting a spell, although you don't see it, you are tapping into this magic which is flowing everywhere. And from Mystra. Did I get that right? D&D boys?
And that's Forgotten Realms.
And that's Forgotten Realms.
Other
D&D.
realms have different kind of vibes.
And wizards themselves basically are hacking reality when they are messing with the weave.
Yeah. So in Obojima, is it like that, or is it something else?
Well, there's also gods in D&D.
There's also gods in D&D, right? Yeah. So I guess I've never really thought about that. Are the gods accessing Mystra as well, or is that...
Yeah, but okay, they're all kind of like, they're, adapting it, and they're kind of creating their own, sort of version of the weave, or using the magic in a
as the
kind
tree
of
flowchart goes, it goes Mystra on top, and then all of the gods get stuff, and then they turn it into their own things.
Through divine magic, they can,
Interesting. So we don't have gods, and we don't have Mystra, so where does magic come from in Obojima? Now, currently, we've made 3 categories, and I think we might expand on this here. But the 3 categories we've produced are spirit magic, magic derived from spirits or created by spirits; nature magic, which is magic created naturally, either by the island or Obojima, as we're calling it, the will of Obojima; and then arcane magic. Arcane magic is magic produced through practice, created by humans or other physical beings through practice or through ritual or I guess like components. I don't know how you do it. Through
it's basically the nature of reality in the setting of in the Obojima setting.
Yes,
can be manipulated through components and the art of casting spells. That there's something malleable about the nature of reality.
Yes.
I mean, kind of where you're saying, like, potion brewers are taking ingredients which are generally all natural, but some of them are from the first age, and they're putting them in the cauldron, and they're kind of bubbling it up, and through heat and incantations or whatever, the magic that is within that is kind of being absorbed out, or being leached out of it, and then into the potion brew. And then you've got some kind of magical some kind of magical quality to it.
So there's something interesting here, and I'm kind of going a bit off of a side topic here, but I want to bring it up. Are we saying that paladins are arcane magic? Because paladins gain their magic through tenets that they believe in and that they repeat and they strive to obtain. Is that something that is founded naturally by the nature magic, or is that something that they're deriving by practice, which is kind of what spells are, right? Like spells are, here's all these things. Yeah. If you do them correctly in this order and do this practice, you can bend reality to make this thing happen.
I mean, it could be that sort of like there's this natural magic from Obojima, but through dedication and intention, maybe there's some kind of co-creative thing that's happening where they're kind of paladins are absorbing in through just like meditation and focus. They're absorbing this magic, but then through intention, they're actually shaping it into whatever spell they're casting.
And so my question, and I really love the visual that you have there. I think that's really interesting, right? There's these core tenets and their belief, this kind of like their belief is drawing in the magic, and these tenets focus the magic into, I guess, how they are,
like a manifestation.
How they manifest within the world. I think that's really interesting. I guess my question now is, the magic that they are pulling in, is that nature magic derived from the island of Obojima? Or is that arcane magic through practices? So, for example, like I imagine a wizard is studied magic, and they could teach another person to do this magic by studying. But is paladins different? Because you can't necessarily teach it. You have to have faith. There has to be belief. There has to be...
It's a really interesting question, because I think my gut reaction for the Oath of the River Paladin, like that would be nature. But I do think we could create a paladin that is arcane based, but it would still be through dedication and practice. But there's, I don't know, something else. There could be that'd be interesting to explore that just to see. But I think generally paladins are nature based, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Ari's got the beard scratch stare off camera, which means he's cooking up something.
What I'm imagining is one of these paladins going out, to the river that they, would commune with or something like that. And that the idea of the abilities that they gain from being that subclass almost come to them through their knowledge of the river, not by being taught by another paladin or not by being taught by an academy or something like that. The act of doing is what actually channels that power. So that tells me that there's something natural that they are a conduit for.
Maybe arcane magic is not a category, but the term for when you manipulate spirit magic or nature magic into something else.
Yeah.
So arcane magic, for an example of this, would be potions. The ingredients that have latent magic in them are nature magic. Yeah. But the crafting of potion is taking nature magic and manipulating it. And that is what arcane magic is the manipulation of an existing magic source into something else.
Yeah.
And so paladins may or may not be doing that. Maybe it is purely nature magic. They are harnessing the nature magic and utilizing it. And for a paladin to be doing arcane magic, they would have to be doing something else. They'd have to be manipulating the magic in a way that isn't natural.
Makes me think of imagine sort of like nature magic being sunlight coming in, and the paladin is like a prism. And the paladin can kind of, through their dedication, through their intention, through their practice, they can shift how they turn their prism to say, I'm going to shoot out now red light, or I'm going to shoot out green light, or I'm going to shoot out. And each of those lights is a subclass. So, they're just manipulating natural magic. And then through, it could be almost like they could be purely nature and just, they could stay in that domain and it's fine. But some paladins might be like, they're taking natural magic, but then they're applying arcane principles and intentions and disciplines to then channel that nature magic and convert it or transmute it into some other oath.
I think paladins are still using nature magic simply based off of the way, because I don't feel like they are manipulating it.
Okay.
I feel like they are drawing it in and then channeling it, and the way they channel it manifests it in a specific way. I think manipulating it would be the
potion,
the prescriptiveness
Okay.
of casting a spell, or the prescriptiveness of using scrolls or enchanting a magic item or creating a potion or a ritual. That feels prescriptive. You follow these things, but I could see several paladins kind of coming to the same conclusion through different ways that they practice their beliefs. So that's why I don't think paladins are doing arcane magic. I think they are just, they're like you're saying, channeling nature magic. And because of that, paladins in many subclasses, like a prism, shoot out different colors of light.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it is the same thing. I just don't think that they're harnessing arcane. I think arcane is the methodical research and the repeatability of it all.
So like wizards, witches, warlocks, they're in the arcane world.
Depending. Right? Because the warlock that's deriving their magic from a spirit, like the lantern warlock, that's
all
spirit
natural
magic, right?
Or Okay.
So I guess
Cool.
let's talk about spirit magic now. So what is the differentiation between nature magic and spirit magic? And we have bullet points in my list here that just kind of talk about a handful of things. So nature magic, we've described it as ingredients. We talk about magic in its raw form being visualized as bubbles. So that's a thing. First age longevity, right? The first age magic is something that naturally occurs.
Yep.
First age enchantments. Another great example would be like a soda slime, right? That's a thing that just over time is formed. The great beasts, we're saying, are nature magic in some way. Luck, Obojima's will, is nature magic. But then we're saying in spirit magic, we're saying it's things like spirit fused fighters. We're saying whelmed objects,
demons,
elves, cursed items, the wandering line. We're saying those are separate things.
Okay, so on one hand, I mean, the delineation makes sense to me in that, because it's not just derived from spirits, it's also the source is the spirit realm of that magic. What do we make of nature spirits?
I think nature spirits are spirits that are harmonious with nature. They are separate, but they are connected in the same way.
they're still like at core, there's still spirit magic,
so like
but maybe they could also use some nature magic.
So if you have like an elder spirit, their domain is like a nexus between like the physical realm and then the natural part of that, but also a similar thing in the spirit realm.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I don't think the spirit realm has any nature magic in it. I think nature magic forms within the physical realm. I think it is unique to the physical realm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then
It's like the structure of the physical realm.
Yeah. And then the spirit realm and these spirits that are tied, these nature spirits, are bridging that connection, that gap.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now, there's another thing, which I think is a little up in the air and we're not quite sure where it's landing, and that is memories. And also I think curses maybe could also be talked about here. Demons are another interesting thing. Now, demons I think are in spirit magic, but they are unique, and I think curses are unique in that way as well. So memories are the idea that potent emotions and feelings can sustain themselves in a space and then manifest physically in some way.
Yeah.
So a memory could be a baker long gone, the shop shut down, the house is now being used as, an orphanage, but it always smells like sweet cookies, right? That's the memory of the bakers there, that there's just so much emotion tied to the creation of these cookies that you still get this like physical manifestation of it. Another great example would be the rubble golem, right? Someone who's died, the tragedy, the strong emotion connected to the passing of someone. It's not their like soul, it is the memory of them stays there, and it manifests in this golem shape. those are examples of memories. I think another one we talked about recently was this clothing demon. The idea of a demon that takes on the form, that is just a hollow pair of clothing that wants to connect with someone that is reminiscent of their previous owner. Like this, maybe the owner passed away at an early time. I'm not sure what it is, but there's like this thing. Now that is also we're claiming is a demon. So there is some connection here. It's a weird space. In one way, I want to say it's just nature magic. In another way, I just want to categorize it as its own thing. I don't quite know. I'd love to hear if either of you have thoughts in general on how memories, we'll specifically talk about memories at this point, fit in. Are they spirit magic? Is it nature magic? Is it something else?
Man, I mean, it's a little bit of both, right? Because you could kind of say that thoughts, where do thoughts come from? If we want to get all philosophical and far out, like where does a thought come from? Like there are thoughts that you consciously generate. Like you're like, oh, I need to figure out how to bake this cake, and you're like, let me get the ingredients. But then you're just sitting down, and all of a sudden a crazy thought comes into your head, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? So conceivably in Obojima land, that could be stuff that comes from the spirit realm. The thoughts just can kind of come in. And now if we start to take in the idea that your thoughts as a human being or as an entity, whether, spirit or otherwise, if you have a strong enough series of thoughts, which then I would say that is thought powered by emotion or thought fueled by emotion, that then, metaphysically, like let's say I feel something very intensely, or I feel an emotion over a long period of time in the same room. So like your example of the baker, there's this kindly baker who bakes all their life and does wonderful things, and then everybody kind of gets to know them, and just every day they're just giving off this energy, thought energy and emotion energy in the same room, and that room absorbs, or that even the ground around it absorbs that emotion. So it's like permeates it. And then it's now kind of the same way you would magnetize a cassette tape and you'd put down music on it or record a voice. It's the same with the walls, the room, the floor, the ground, the trees around it, all absorb that magnetic energy. And then it replays it back. So anybody who walks into that area will smell the baked cookies or just feel a nice warm feeling. Conversely, you could have something horrendous happens, like a tragedy, or somebody who's just obsessed with being greedy and horrible, and they are giving off that. It's permeating that realm. Or somebody meets a tragic end in a very emotional way in the woods. All the trees are surrounding, and the ground absorbs that energy, and you'd be able to. So it feels a combination of nature and spirit. So
I think this goes back to something at the beginning of this conversation about, like, I think where wizards can manipulate reality, because it says something about the nature of reality, that it is open to being manipulated, right? That there is, like, our world might be much more concrete in the nature of reality, and to change it, you have to change physics. But there might be something about the nature of the setting of Obojima that it is open to, that there is a malleable quality about it. And so when a wizard casts spells, they are actively changing the nature of reality to cast that spell. But if there is kind of this big impactful moment that is filled with emotion, maybe there's something about the nature of emotion being able to kind of imprint on the surrounding. Like in this explosive, force, it kind of imprints upon that moment is captured, but the moment is not the event. The moment is the emotion. So even in your description of the bakery, I don't think it's the actual smell of sweet cookies. It's people's memory of the smell of sweet cookies that is imprinting, and it is permeating that space, so that you experience it as the people who experienced it had. And whether that is through exposure, long exposure, if this was, the baker was a fixture in this place for, generations or whatever, that becomes it imprints over time, or if there's a big catastrophic event that creates a rubble golem, that's in an instant. But there's something about the malleability of reality that's something that people who studied magic, wizards, this is what they took from. Maybe the first wizards on Obojima derived their magic from studying these memories, that they find that there's something weird that these memories imprint upon reality, and that there is something changeable about the nature of reality. Maybe that's what it is. It's nature of Obojima itself, as opposed to what the practitioner is bringing. Like, they're not bringing magic; they're tapping that magic, or they're able to influence the nature of reality because it is actually influenceable.
Right.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. In the same way that there's that interaction between the two spirit magic and nature magic, there's an interaction. Like, there is something special about nature spirits because of how they are a bridge between these two things. I think memories are the bridge between nature magic, spirit magic, and whatever this other raw magic is. Maybe it's emotional magic, I'm not sure, but it's, when I think about it, a rubble golem is the formation of like a potent emotion, this like pure magic being formed, and it is mixing with nature magic, and that's what a rubble golem is in some way. And maybe like the demon, like when there's a demon formed from a memory, that's when this memory is mixing with spirit magic. And so it's like the thing that we are seeing is this raw magic mixing with nature magic or spirit magic or arcane magic to form this thing, this manifestation that we're viewing. I don't know. It also kind of, we talked about curses earlier, and this feels very similar to how we mentioned curses too, which is the idea that like the belief in something, belief or
desire,
action or desire can cause that thing. Obsession can cause this thing to manifest. So I wonder what this, is that, I don't know what category that is. Is that nature magic? Is it just a subsect of nature magic, or is it like something else? Because it doesn't feel like it's derived necessarily directly from Obojima. It feels like it's derived. These are catalysts caused by humans.
Yeah.
It's like if nature is its own category and spirits is their own category, the physical beings are also able to manipulate it through their something, right? Like their intent or their, I don't know.
I think this kind of starts to pull into, the world of spirits is eternal. So when you go in, if you're a spirit in the spirit realm, either you live forever or you're just in a state of eternity where there is no time. You're kind of just in this timeless space. When you're in the physical realm, you're mortal. So you'll live and you'll die. And so, but life force is a key here. And so maybe the idea that if you start to become obsessed to the point of you're in the physical realm, but if you start to become obsessed to the point of dipping into the eternal, where it's almost like you're going down a black hole. There's like the thing in the black hole where there's the event horizon. So it's the point of no return, the point where light cannot get back out. So the idea of like when a spirit moves into that space, or even a human being, they might not be able to get there, but it's something that captures that memory and that continues it into like the form of a rubble golem. A rubble golem will always be that way. It's an eternal thing now. Whereas once it was an apartment building filled with people, it collapsed and those people were tragically killed. But there's something that the tragedy was so heavy, so dense that it almost kind of black holed itself, out of the.
No, I think there's something interesting that, you're talking about the intersection of natural world and spirit world and where all these things happen. And that if we're saying that the capture of these memories that imprint on a space, if that is an aberration, that is not a normal phenomenon, then that could tell me. And if you're saying the spirit realm is the idea of the eternal, and the mortal realm is not, that it is changeable and it is temporary, then that tells me that there is something that catches that eternal quality of the spirit realm with memories. That memories kind of snag almost on the spirit realm, and that's if that's what you're trying to say.
Because a black hole it's something that's in our physical realm, right? But it's so weird because it's eternal as well. It goes into a singularity. It goes into like zero time and infinite density. Like it gets weird. And I think that these things like a rubble golem gets weird, or a memory when it gets tracked, it's weird.
Sorry, I just had a thought. So let's pretend that all of these memories are attached to the spirit realm. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, let's say you go to the rubble golem and you see a rubble golem. If you were to go to the spirit realm that is parallel to that rubble golem, there might be these spirits that are like clinging on to the threads of that memory or of that event, and somehow that either, whether it's longevity like the baker, or it's an immense momentary tragedy like what happened with that formed the rubble golem, there might be a type of spirit that finds that delicious, and they will gnaw on that. You know what I mean? They'll kind of gnaw on that moment for as long as they can.
So it could be that that's the relationship between the physical realm and the spirit realm, is that when there are things in the physical realm that are extreme to some degree, or that are saturated with emotion, or saturated with love, or saturated with caring, or saturated with fear, these spirits rush toward that. And if it's almost like how, a black hole will punch through into another universe theoretically, that emotion punches a hole through in a very small way, maybe in a thread, like you're saying.
Yeah, and it snags. And they'll cling onto that.
Onto it.
Yeah, and just kind of hold it there. And so it could be something that is attached to the spirit realm in that way. And so that lets us kind of dovetail that. This is where we get, we were talking about this earlier. One of the reasons we liked this concept of these memories sticking to places is that this is where we can get our hauntings and things like that. Things can be a little weird or supernatural, disconcerting, or really heartwarming if it is like in the case of that bakery. But if you were to then go from, if an elf were to look at a rubble golem and use their sight to see into the spirit realm, they might see all of these like spirits almost like clinging onto these threads around the rubble golem. It's like, oh, weird,
And I think originally we came to this thing because we were trying to say, well, if in Obojima there are no gods and there's no soul per se, then what is that connection? And it could be like, maybe not everybody's seen The Dark Crystal, but the idea that there are these two creatures, the Skeksis and the Om, or what they call it, I think the Ulu or something like that. Anyway, there's the Skeksis are horrible and just totally selfish and jerks, and the other ones, they're kind of like these very zen, almost enlightened beings. And when they die, the Skeksis die in these horrible ways, and they're all fighting and squabbling and trying to kill each other to get more power, and the Om just kind of like slowly stop, and then they just kind of dissolve into motes of light, and it's kind of this like beautiful way to go. But maybe it's the thing that as human beings or entities in the physical realm kind of live their lives, and paladins, this might tie into paladins and sort of like kind of tie into that sort of their it's not what I say. I don't want to say like they're moving towards the divine, but they're moving towards enlightenment or mastery or harmony with nature. Then there's other ones that are dissonant. They're creating this dissonance with nature. They're going against the will of Obojima. They're suffering. They're greedy. They're covetous. They're having, and so there's this kind of branch. But they're both affecting the spirit world in different ways, like what you're saying with the attachment. But ultimately, when they pass on, they leave their physical form, the impression is left behind. And one is a beautiful impression of the baker who just gave and brought joy to the community. And, so that leaves this memory. this memory impression. And then of course the other one can actually create demons, or or you just walk into an environment and you feel like a chill go down your spine, and you're like, oh, we're in a cursed area, and maybe demons are more likely to flock there. Or if you went to the spirit realm, you would see something like an impact was left in the spirit realm.
It's a cool way to get places that are either, kind of sanctified without having gods, like you're saying, or you can have places that are cursed without having gods and all this kind of stuff. That there are these, we can play up that concept of like positivity and negativity through these memories without having to include like a whole divinity system.
Yeah, like what starts a sacred mountain? There's tons of mountains, there's tons of hills. Is it the human beings that come there and just invent that, oh, this mountain's sacred because we believe it's sacred? Or do human beings walk along, and sensitive human beings sense that this mountain is sacred? And maybe at some time long ago, there was an enlightened master that went there and sort of meditated on the mountain, and spirits from the spirit realm kind of emerged because they sensed it. And they were like, we just love that energy, or that energy vibrates or resonates with us. So they all kind of, and then through the two of those, it created this sort of nexus point. And then maybe from that, when the master dissolves into the ether or goes back into the earth, and then maybe an elder spirit would form, like, who knows? Like, I'm just making this up.
No, but that's an interesting way to do that. Those memories, can change the nature of a place. And I just think that's really interesting.
And it could be the seed for an elder spirit,
So let's assume that memories...
I just want to say, as a point of clarification,
the
will of Obojima is not like a will as though Obojima is a god.
Yeah.
Will of Obojima is how the people of Obojima talk about this idea of natural magic. That's the way they kind of personify it in that way, but not as a god.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yep. So with memories, I think memories connected to the spirit realm are interesting. I like the visual of the rubble golem in the physical realm manifesting as this, golem of rubble. And then in the spiritual realm might be represented by, something, maybe a little girl with all of these spirits attached to her or something like that. Very sad, very interesting. There is a part of me that is maybe a little sad about the idea that memories are no longer alien to spirits as well, because I think it gives spirits as a space in there, it gives them more understanding about them than maybe I was hoping memories to be a little more alien to everyone. So attaching to the spirit realm does lose some of that. What I do, but that's okay. What I do want to know is with curses, I don't know that curses are specifically connected in that same way, because we can have, curses are significantly less interesting if they are caused by spirits, because we have cursed spirits already, like spirits that are undergoing this curse, and those can happen through malice and through emotion. So I think we're playing in the same toolbox of like emotion and like curses naturally being able to form, but the spirits don't solve that problem, I don't think.
I mean, you could have, like, for your first part, where spirits maybe don't have memories, but they're attracted to it. Sure. Like, it's still alien to them, but just how
that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah, just how something alien to us, and then it came down to Earth, and we'd be like, "What is that thing?" And we were like, "Oh, we want it," and we were like curious about it. Curses could be just that. Memories are unintentional. Like, memories are just something happened, and that residue, or I act a certain way, and then that residue kind of goes off, like that affects the thing, and it creates that creates the memory field or whatever it is. But a curse feels to me like an intention. There's an intentionality behind it. I cast a spell because I want a revenge, or I commit cold-blooded murder, and it creates a cursed zone, or that kind of a deal.
So I thinking of like old folktale witch type, Scandinavian vibes. It's like the witches, you're about to burn the lady at the stake, Harlem style, and she's like, I curse you all. Like, as she goes up, like, there's like, she's not an actual witch.
Yeah.
But like, it's the idea here is that her energy, like the wrongdoing done to her curses the land or your family or something, like something naturally curses the space. Like it occurs not by her, but because like there was a wrongdoing in some way. Like I could see curses being formed in that way.
But if you're going with like the Salem witch trial vibe and somebody does call down a curse, you're saying that that's not, that there's intent to curse people, but you're saying that Obojima responds to that, like, or she's not casting a spell.
I wish we could go back and watch that other podcast, because we talk about curses, and I'd love to hear about what past us said for this moment, because we mentioned curses. I think we even mentioned curses in the Fumushiki section, where people aren't intending to form these things. They occur by coincidence or some other negative effect that weren't, like these bad things are being presented in some way.
I mean, even if you look at like Princess Mononoke, and you look at the boar that is cursed by the bullet. Yeah. Right. It takes the bullet, and then through circumstance, because of the
rage.
Yeah, rage. It is kind of consumed by that, and it becomes this demon. Do you mean like something along those lines? That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That something is.
So it's almost like, first of all, the boar has the bad fortune, so this could be just misfortune or bad fortune of getting shot. And the person who's doing the shooting is kind of like, you're doing something wrong to nature. You're not taking the boar in a respectful way. Maybe they were just shooting it just for laughs, or maybe they're shooting it out of aggression or whatever. There wasn't this sort of proper ritual for taking a life. But however it was, there was the misfortune, the boar getting shot. The bullet got lodged in there, and that lodge over time created an irritation, and then a rage grew in this boar. That rage then just kind of went to the point of no return. It went past this point of normal rage. Most rage usually flares up and goes down, but this rage just kept sustained and gets bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden it reaches this gravitational mass where it again goes into a singularity, a point of no return, and then that turns it into a demon. So it seems like, and I will propose this as a theory or a proposition here, like that being a demon means you experience something to such a degree that it creates a critical mass that tips you over into demonhood.
Go ahead.
I said I would agree with that, but go ahead.
So is that the same thing as a curse? Like, is that something that happens to the land itself, to a region? Is that, you know what I mean? Is the same force at work, basically?
So I'm thinking about it, and I think I've walked full circle. I think I'm back at nature magic.
Well, we've explored the realm.
I think
right?
memories and curses are both nature magic. And I think I like the idea of like spirits being attracted to them, like that's juicy, and they want to. So like you can still get that amazing visual, but it's not necessarily connected to the spirit realm. I think it's unintentional spell casting. I think memories and I think curses and things like that are people or spirits or physical beings manipulating reality unintentionally through emotion alone.
Yeah. That feels very Obojima to me.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you put in, I can actually intentionally cast a curse, that now feels like something different. And maybe that's, that maybe is just another world that we have yet to create. But in Obojima, it's more like, oops, it
happens.
Or I get obsessed with something and I don't even realize like what I'm doing is actually causing some serious damage.
It's cool.
Either in this world or in the spirit world.
It was a long way for us to get back around here. That said, it is a good conclusion to the podcast.
I'm sure more conversations will be.
Oh, there's so many conversations. Let us know what you thought about all of that. If you like where we ended, Do you think there's another category of magic? Where do you think memories and curses should land on the magic spectrum? Yeah. Tell us what you think in the comments.
I just want to say on a closing note there, the memory idea. I don't know. This was a conversation I think the two of you had when I was gone, and when I read about it and when you told me about it, that was just like, I love this concept so much. So it's great to dig into that more.
Cool.
It's so much fun. And now it's your turn to dig into it and play around. Let us know in the comments what you like, what you thought was interesting, what category of magic is memories and curses in. Memories. And we will catch you all next time. Oh, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Like, subscribe, TikTok, Discord, Instagram.
D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond, all that jam.
Book, Kickstarter.
Book, Kickstarter, you've heard it all.
Yeah.
Thank you, and we will catch you next time.